those states around us, from the fact that you don't have to actually leave your county to find an extension office. On top of getting research-based information to the farm level, to the grassroots or level, I really want people to kind of look at Extension, Spencer, as we go forward as a way to connect with other people, not only in your community, but across the state. I think it's important to understand that those extension agents, most likely, especially speaking in the ag sector, are probably farmers too. We all go home to a farming enterprise at night. And so you get experience, you get the opportunity to talk to somebody that has a wealth of knowledge at their fingertips, and you get someone that's connected maybe to other problem solvers or maybe to other programs across the state and across the country. Fortunately for us, in my tenure here, we've been very fortunate to kind of reach across state lines and access information not only from surrounding states, but across the country. And I think that's really unique from an educational standpoint as we go forward, having that access to the technology and to the people behind the research to forward that information on back to the grassroots level. I would contend that your extension agent, regardless of what county that you're in, will probably be that person that has all the phone numbers that you need. It'll probably be the person that knows which co-ops are out there, where to rent equipment, from a livestock sector, who's breeding, who's selling bulls, sheep, goats, all that information. Odds are that person probably knows where to go for that. I really, quite honestly, I think about my job from day to day. A lot of times it's simply connecting people to others who are in that industry or have a need per se across the community. One of the other things I think is really special about Extension is we're not territorial based. And what I mean by that is if you have an extension agent such as myself that has a pretty extensive livestock background but has very little knowledge whatsoever to row crop, for example, and you happen to be a row crop producer, there is nothing that says that you can't cross across a county line to an extension agent that is well versed in that subject matter and work with them too. And quite honestly, in the region that I'm in, we encourage that. I am surrounded by really good row crop people. And unfortunately for those in our region, I'm really the one livestock focused person. And so we field questions across county lines, across state lines, having worked where we're located in Indiana. So I think that's really unique. Is not only do you get all the research and information that is backed in the extension programming, but you get a network of people that are out there doing it every day too, and so you get that experience component along with that. I would also say, from an educational standpoint, your extension office will be an opportunity for you to attend not only just small sessions, but long-term educational programs. Excuse me. And I would encourage you to, if you haven't already, to build a relationship with your extension agent, get on their mailing list, follow their Facebook page, all the above, whatever means of communication you find convenient, because I think that's how that's the easiest way how to get in touch and understand what they offer. I'm really appreciative of the way the administration over extension has allowed us to build our programming in these areas as we see fit. And so what that means for the average producer um, is a program that's tailored more to you on a regional basis, and something that maybe is more meaningful based on the situations that we see in our areas. There's nothing mandated from Lexington that says we all have to do X, Y, and Z. I really like that. Quite honestly, some of these issues vary from one county to the neighboring county. And so our ability to kind of transition through those situations and fulfill those needs on a county basis, I think are really unique. And I'm really appreciative of administration allowing us to be like that. With that said, I think there's some unique things out there as far as programs go that I think over time really benefit to farm enterprises. And I know just in my tenure of working with K-Card, I found a lot of like-minded people such as myself that really like spreadsheets. They like to watch enterprises make money. And so every day when I wake up, that's my first thought is, number one, how do we make money on the farm? Number two, how do I help my guys stay alive, make money for their enterprises going forward too? And so I think there's some really unique programs out there right now for especially for niche enterprises as well as mainstream enterprises over time that are really important. Things such as the Master Cattlemen's Program, the Master Grazers Program, which is a forage-based program. There are small animal tracks. Sheep and goats have kind of taken over the countryside where we are as far as a livestock enterprise goes due to small acreage concerns. There are plenty of hands-on and electoral type lectures for row crop, both beans, wheat, corn, whatever the case may be. One of the things that we had, and actually I guess we should say we still do, is our research station there in Princeton, which is not too far from Fort Campbell. As many of you all, if you're in that area, you know that it was kind of wiped off the map with the tornado, but the programming there still exists, and it still allows farmers to go there on occasion and see more of a kind of a hands-on application of programming and technologies. And so I really like that. We've got another one in Lexington that allows farmers to come and see test plots and things like that too. And so those are really neat resources that we have here in Kentucky for those of us that like hands-on learning. I would also just mention one other program that I think has become really intriguing to me from my time in extension, probably something I didn't really particularly think about very close, would be the woodland type programs, those forester type programs, master foresters, master loggers, those type programs. If we look at the landscape of Kentucky, we have a lot of woodlands, and my guess is every landowner in Kentucky probably has a few trees around. And so, Taryn, whenever we think about enterprise budgets, we probably need to start looking at what those woods are worth back to the farming enterprise at some point in time. So we've got just a wonderful staff that deals with issues and allows us to kind of remotely diagnose issues within the woodlands, but also help plan and propagate profitable timber harvest over time. And so I really think that's really cool. A couple of the most used services that you will see in extension right now would be the soil testing program. We had 2 soil test labs. Obviously, one of those was housed in Princeton and is no longer functioning thanks to the tornado. But nonetheless, they are handling all that volume in Lexington. And so every county extension office has the ability to forward on soil tests for you. Some of those counties are even absorbing the cost of doing so. And so if you're wanting to even just plant a food plot for wildlife, we have a soil test for that. Those of you that maybe are interested in orchards or vineyards or those type things, they have a test for those as well. And of course, the pasture and row crop, all those mainstream enterprises we have soil testing for. And the second one that we probably see the most usage of would be plant disease diagnostics. That being on any given day, it's always a surprise to me as to what might walk through the door. But we may have somebody who has a vineyard or an orchard, for example, that maybe has some type of fungus. And so through technology now, we've got USB microscopes and things like that we can take accurate pictures and forward those to specialists in real time and get quick, precise answers and get the solutions to those questions going forward. And so I think from a producer perspective and how fast we're actually able to do that now, it's pretty remarkable. But with that, I know that's a lot thrown at you right there in a very short amount of time. But kind of wondered if there's other things, Taryn, that we maybe need to touch, or Spencer, if you've got any ideas, I'd be open to discussing any of those questions.
Do y'all have any questions before I start firing at him? Okay. Do you mind to talk to us a little bit about how a lot of the questions we get, or at least a lot of questions I get, are about CAPE and what type of stuff you can utilize CAPE for, how it works. So do you mind to talk a little bit about CAPE?
Yes. You probably opened a can of worms I wasn't really prepared for, Taryn, but that's perfectly fine. So yes. So just as a general rule, your extension office is in charge of the educational programming that is required for CAPE. So depending on what you want to invest in and invest your funds in going forward, your extension agent can provide you the appropriate education for that. CAPE funds, as you well know, are sourced from the Tobacco Settlement Fund. They vary from one county to another depending on your tobacco quota at one point in time or another several years ago. Some counties run that program, that cost share program, every year. Some counties run it every other year. I'm not for sure if maybe there's a longer stretch out there or not. But those CAPE funds are quite helpful. I'll just tell you, I'm a participant in that program in our own farming enterprise. One of the things I found with CAPE is there's really something for everyone in CAPE, which I'm really appreciative of. As far as, for example, livestock, investing in bulls or rams if you're a sheep producer, or gates, facilities, pasture seeding, things like that. All those things would fall under that. If you're a row crop farmer, maybe there's some technology out there that you'd like to implement, you can do that. If you would like to use some type of business management software, or you need computers or something of that nature to do that with, all those things would fall under that as well. Quite honestly, there's not much that doesn't fall under CAPE when we really look at it. The one thing I think that's pretty evident, I should say, that I have found: no trailers, okay, and essentially nothing with a motor. And so if it's not a trailer, or if it doesn't have a motor, there's a good chance that it may in fact qualify. Those are questions that you really ought to sit back and ask your extension agent one-on-one. Tell them a little bit about your operation, what you're wanting to do. If there is something I should say if there's something there that you're trying to plan for the future, maybe um, that ag agent or whatnot could probably help you with that. Uh, Maybe understand the CAPE programs just a little bit better for those particular items. I think your ag agent will be a great resource in that. One of the other things that your ag agent is responsible for is putting together, or I shouldn't say putting together, but hosting your local ag development board. Your local ag development board is who basically is charged with deciding that how those funds within your counties are disseminated and what groups get them. If there's a CAPE program, how much money is delegated for CAPE? Um, if there's special projects out there um, that may kind of have a county-wide implication, you can actually petition that board for some of those funds. And it could be a private individual, right, that has a project that has either countywide or multi-county implications. They have a opportunity to petition a board for cost share or matching funds, which I think is really interesting. You know, a perfect example is maybe somebody that's putting together a fruit and vegetable processing facility, or I'm just pulling that out of the air, but something of that sort that maybe benefits agriculture as a whole in that community or those counties around, um, that that we see long-term return on investment for those funds. They would essentially petition the county extension councils for possible cost share and help with the construction or implementation of those businesses. Um, I would also um, mention that some of those funds maybe go towards educational programming and things like that. We've actually utilized some of that in the past. I know some of these rules kind of change from one year to the other. List of eligible items probably maybe shift left or right from year to year as the state ag development board sees fit. But that is a program that I think every producer should be involved in, regardless of your affiliation with tobacco in the past. Um, there is a place for everyone in there. I would also mention strictly if you're a beginning farmer or have I believe it's 5 years or less. I may have that number wrong, but if you are fairly new in your operation, you essentially, from a point perspective on how we score those applications, would have a leg up on producers that have been basically farmers for years and years and years. And so I would encourage you to look at that program. Your county extension agent will be able to tell you the administering body of those programs in every county because they're all different. I don't think there's many, and I could be completely wrong about this, Taryn, but I don't think there's many extension offices now administering those funds. Most of those funds are administered by entities such as the Conservation Board or Cattlemen's Association, something of those nature, that are kind of standalone entities. One other thing, I think, when we're talking about CAPE funds, I think I would be remiss if we didn't mention the youth side of this. If we've got a family that is new to agriculture and their children have an interest in ag, there is a place for a county to host a youth CAPE, okay, which in theory kind of opens it up for young people to purchase items much like those in the adult section of that CAPE. And so if we've got counties that are pretty progressive minded and think a lot about the future of ag, they've got an opportunity there to invest in young people who have an interest in agriculture and help them with their initial investments as well. You're going to have to kind of guide me along there a little bit, Taryn. There's a lot I could talk about under CAPE, but But my first um, my first thought is if you have not been involved in that or don't know anything about it, tomorrow morning at 8:01 a.m., call your ag agent. Understand to the best of your ability when your county has an application period, as to how they fund. And what I mean by that is to what percentage up to a dollar amount do they fund so that you can kind of better set your goals for your projects going forward. And two, and the third thing is obviously who is in the administration body for those funds within that county. Your county ag agent, I promise you, knows all those answers, and will gladly help with that.
David, did you have a question?